Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
A single best idea. And this is what surveillance is about. When we started doing this a zillion years ago, it was about the intellectual abilities of these guests in touching upon the secret sauce, the pixie dust of why they're at a given bank, a given university, a given investment shop around the world. And this is part of doing economics, finance, investment, and indeed international relations. Major shout out today to Henrietta Trey's on Short Time Veda Partners on all the news out of Washington. I thought just a great job by the Bloomberg team working literally overnight. Stephen Dennis leading our coverage on Capitol Hill with Zach Cohen and Josh Wingrove out at the White House, as well many others. It's just a huge team response. But we started with bonds and equity. And what you're going to hear here are windows into the way these people really talk when they don't dumb it down for Tom Keene. Here's Amanda Lynam on BlackRock with the linkage here of accounting and incentive and debt new issuance.
There are two things to consider. One is a lot of these companies are still in a net cash position, which is important. So they're adding debt to their capital structure, but their leverage is still incredibly low because they have all of this cash on their balance sheet. The question is why? That's left over from the pre-2017 era when cash was generated overseas and then it needed to be taxed to be repatriated back to the U.S.
Oh, God,
so there's still some cash over there is the point. The second point is that there's a bit of an upper bound to how big these capital structures can get. So in our note, which we outline, we estimate that if you look at just like the Mag 7 X Tesla, so removing autos, there's probably an incremental 400 billion plus of incremental debt capacity if you just increase the gross leverage by half a turn. Really modest. That's a really large number, but we don't expect that to be utilized because these capital structures, we think, cannot get that large, and also that debt capacity will just be used gradually over time for strategic opportunity.
Absolutely brilliant. Just to put one idea in here, it's like foreign exchange where every day, even as smart as you are, you have to go, okay, it's euros as compared to dollars, but it's dollars as compared to yen. Basic stuff. In the Amanda Lynam world, what is so interesting is traditional finance, but using it applied across these technology juggernauts. It's not the same math. It's not the same microeconomics. It's not the same Fabozzi or Zvi Bodhi up at Boston University. It's something original going on right now, as we see with these billion-dollar transactions of 30-year paper that seem to be sold on 5 phone calls. One of those phone calls may go to BNP Paribas, the French giant. Greg Boutle has been just wonderful in equities and the derivative dynamics of the equity market here. Greg Boutle with enthusiasm.
Well, essentially what we've seen is this kind of pocket of turbulence the last couple of weeks. Government shutdown has been a part of it. Part of it we think is kind of positioning led, that the market got a bit ahead of itself in September with this kind of real reach for upside, this exuberant rally. But what we've seen over the last, say, 3 or 4 weeks is a pullback in equities, a pickup in volatility at a time when the news flow that we have had, the bottom-up news flow, has actually been very strong.
Earnings, we just been through kind of the vast majority of earnings. Were they good enough for this market? Were they good enough for you and your call on this market?
Yeah, I think they were a really good earnings season. I mean, you can start with the large cap tech. And I think one of the best ways to look at the lens of earnings and distill the information is what did all the analysts do that cover the stocks with next year's numbers? And they took all of those numbers higher. So they digested that news from the calls, from the releases, and they increased their forecast.
Greg Boutle, BNP Paribas, with a really terse, optimistic note. On podcasts, we're out on Apple, on Spotify, on YouTube podcasts. It's single best idea.